and says will happen this week.
After thousands of flights were canceled, leaving people across the country frustrated and stranded, Southwest Airlines says it expects to return to normal operations Friday. The company has admitted to having technology that doesn't put flight crews in the right position when bad weather hits, adding the system is in need of an upgrade to avoid another mass cancellation. The Department of Transportation has demanded the company provide prompt refunds to those who've had their flights canceled.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. The DOJ has filed a lawsuit against a major pharmaceutical company over its opioid distribution.
The Justice Department says its civil complaint names AmerisourceBergen Corporation and 2 of its subsidiaries for violating the Controlled Substances Act thousands of times, saying they failed to report suspicious orders to federal law enforcement for years, contributing to the opioid crisis. AmerisourceBergen says in a statement that federal prosecutors cherry-picked a handful of pharmacies out of tens of thousands they supply to and insist they shared vast amounts of information with the DEA over the years, but that the DEA didn't act quickly.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. The company earlier this year agreed to a $6 billion opioid settlement with state and local governments. In Jerusalem, protests today outside the Knesset against the inauguration of the country's new right-wing government. Benjamin Netanyahu has returned as prime minister. A sheriff's office says a chase by car and foot today in Chattanooga, Tennessee, ended with deputies fatally shooting a suspect who had shot at them. One deputy was injured. Stocks bounced back today with the Dow gaining 345 points. The S&P 500 rose 66 and the Nasdaq jumped 265 points. America is listening to Fox News.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus, and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Horrifying images on social media out of Cambodia. At least 19 are dead in a huge fire at a casino.
Videos posted online show people falling from a roof after being trapped by the inferno. Onlookers pleading with firefighters to rescue those unable to escape by themselves. Calls for help and hands waving from windows as high as the 15th floor of the building. The Grand Diamond City Casino was full of tourists and staff from neighbouring Thailand. As well as those confirmed dead, about 50 others were hurt, with more unaccounted for. The fire was finally put out after burning for more than 12 hours. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin has announced he has cancer.
Congressman Raskin says he's been diagnosed with a common type of non-Hodgkin lymphoma that affects white blood cells in the body's immune system. It's called diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Raskin also says the prognosis for most people with it is excellent after 4 months of treatment. He said he's going to go through chemo, immunotherapy on an outpatient basis at MedStar Georgetown University Hospital. In recent months, Raskin's been serving on the House January 6th committee. In Washington, Jill Nato, Fox News.
The species of penguin may have just joined an exclusive club of creatures that recognize themselves in the mirror.
An Indian research team put a dozen Adelie penguins in East Antarctica through a series of mirror tests in early 2020 to see if they are self-aware. And it seems as though they are. Scientists say several penguins seem to be attracted to their reflection, staring for several seconds without trying to touch the mirror or look behind it. In one test, scientists put a sticker on the mirrors to see if the penguins would try and peck at it to get a better look at themselves, and they did. Primates, elephants, bottlenose dolphins, and of course humans have all been shown to be self-aware. Gianna Delosi, Fox News.
And I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble. To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny.
Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over.
I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now.
I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielema.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What?
We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Smack dogs.
Thunderstruck! Yeah, thunderstruck!
Yeah, we're here. We're here. Good morning, everybody. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. Our final show before the new year. We apologize to everyone out there, or anyone out there is the best way to say that. That is not happy with us for taking tomorrow and Monday off, but we just wanted to enjoy the holidays.
You got to get out of here.
I got
Florida.
to get out of here. So I've had like 4 people today say, how's Florida? I'm like, dude, I'm not flying down until Saturday. So we've got everything set up. We get down there Saturday we're going to stay on the beach, St. Pete Beach. So we're going to, I think we arrive at 5:30. We'll be on the beach by 7, getting a little Gigi's pizza. And then I told Andrew today, I was taking him to basketball practice, and I said, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but this trip would be perfect for Lucas and I. Because Lucas is 22, right? And it's New Year's Eve.
Uh-huh.
Then there's a whole day of New Year's Day where you're doing nothing but sitting on the beach and by the pool. So he and I could take advantage of that. Then you got the game. Now the game will be fun for Andrew, don't get me wrong. And we'll have a blast on New Year's Day. We'll play shuffleboard, ping pong. The place we're staying's got all of that. We'll play catch on the beach. We'll always take a football down. But, New Year's Eve would be fun to just kind of hang with Lucas. Instead, I got my 15-year-old. Like, can you imagine us like in Ybor City going into a club with like a poof, poof, poof. I'm like, yeah, this is I'm his dad. I can vouch he's 23. Yeah, Andrew looks like he's 10. Now he's taller than me, so maybe they wouldn't even notice, But
maybe he can take my ID that I tried to use at the Vegas, but the St. Louis casino.
I still want to get that guy on. Do you remember his name?
No.
Oh, man.
No, definitely not.
I'm going to call down there and do some research and be like, who was working on this date between this hour and this hour at the front desk? Because we want him to join our radio show, and I want to still see if he understands who Derek Piper is. I mean, goodness.
I don't know.
We'll play the Max Kellerman. Like, Derek Piper. He'll be like, whoa, maybe he is kind of a big deal. All right, so anyway, that's the scoop. Yeah, so I can't wait. I can't wait to get to the game. I know it puts a little bit of it does put a little damper on it. We touched on this yesterday of not having Chase Brown, not having Sidney Brown, not having Devin Witherspoon. And, for the most part, I think everybody else is playing. And by the way, the old law firm of Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph, Johnny Newton is from Tampa. He's from St. Petersburg. So he was on with a lot of media outlets yesterday. He was made available. So today we've got Keith Randolph at 5:05. I'm excited to talk to Keith and talk to him about things. I know we just played the soundbite yesterday or 2 days ago from Brett Bielema on the NIL money. And, could we raise enough NIL to keep Newton and Randolph back here? And Newton basically, I read the article that I think it was Joey wrote on Inquirer about, and it is a cool story about how Johnny Newton is from there. He grew up a Bucks fan, so he grew up going to the stadium, and now he's like a kid out on the field just running around like, whee! He's going up to the pirate ship. But he basically, in the article, one of his clips was basically, or quotes, saying, I'll wait and see kind of what the NIL is, but I think he's trying to get information from the scouts, obviously the NFL guys, and also seeing what Illinois could put together. But I think there's still a chance that you could have Newton and Randolph back next year.
There is, and it's kind of like that situation where we've seen Kofi go through it, where he wanted to see what the feedback was. Obviously, Illinois at the same time was having the conversations of what he could make NIL-wise, and that's not to say it's a perfect comparison because Johnny Newton will get drafted. I mean, number one, there are how many, 7 rounds of this thing for the NFL, so more guys get picked. Newton was one of the highest graded defensive linemen.
Number 7. Number 7 in the country.
Pro Football Focus. So he would be able to have his name called. I think that wouldn't be any question. As I mentioned yesterday, Jay Lehman said that as far as production and just his pure impact from the start of the season all the way through, it'd be hard to argue against the decision to say, all right, I'm going to go pro. My stock is pretty high. Could it even get higher? I'm not going to question whether he could come back and take his game to the next level. I think that Brett Bielema, as far as player development, has shown that he's pretty good in that area, and I think Johnny could do pretty well. But when you're 7th in the country, when you're one of the top 10 defensive linemen out there, that's a pretty good spot to be in. But yeah, NIL is now a big conversation.
Sure.
To be able to come back and try to improve upon your game, try to elevate yourself maybe up a round or two in terms of the draft, and to go through college. I mean, I get it for a guy like Chase, where like the running back shelf life is really diminished over the years, and it just doesn't. Those guys don't last. Like there's a expiration date a lot of times on running back, so you don't want to take too many hits in college. You get a chance to go on to the next level. For Johnny, if he can come back and with his buddy Keith and make a big, I mean, which law firm literally wants to put their stamp on that and fork over the NIL money and actually have those guys in commercials and everything? And there's so much potential with that. That's the fun part of why wouldn't they? Why shouldn't they be able to earn money off of that for their marketability? And I think for Illinois, there's obviously a huge buy-in, and we've talked about it on the basketball side, but I think football side, it's upping in terms of the involvement of donors to throw some NIL money to make some decisions go your way, whether it be going out and getting someone in the transfer portal, or I think sometimes we focus so much on that, but sometimes it's about retaining your roster as best as you can. Keep guys that you want to keep around as long as you can.
There's not 30,000 season ticket holders, is there, for football?
I don't know.
I don't think it's that many. Today I was thinking to myself, though, okay, let's say there were 30. We all threw in $5. So that'd be 10 for Andrew and I. We'd raise 150,000. So that'd be a start. You got to raise more than that to beat an NFL salary. But I thought, about all the season ticket holders, that's what Illinois ought to do. They ought to send a thing out to the season ticket holders and say, would you donate $50 or less? I mean, don't make it like, do you want to throw $1,000 in? No, I don't. I'm paying for college for my oldest and school for the other one, and no, I don't have $1,000. Well, I mean, I don't want to throw $1,000 at that. Mm-hmm. But it's like if they sent an email to all the season ticket holders and said, hey, we could utilize $50 in the NIL. Would you be willing? Yeah, I'd check that box and send that in. So that they ought to do that. I guess I need to maybe go get a job there and work this out. No, I'm kidding. They're a ton smarter.
That's
than
a good
me.
idea.
It's not a bad idea.
And it's crazy that we're in this era of college athletics. But why not?
Well, it's funny because like season ticket holders might say, well, that's fine, but we're the ones that are already paying for the tickets and everything. Why don't you get the rest of the guys to belly up, to pony up for this stuff? But the reason we're paying is because we enjoy it and we want to see football every year. So, and better football. Or like this year, in other words. So as a season ticket holder, I pay.
In an effort to make sure that Wisconsin has as close to a rushing production as this year against Illinois, if you want to put the big boy in the middle again next year,
let's go.
Why not?
Why
not throw an extra $5 to that cause?
I mean, I'm in with that. And there is a really good chance that Keith Randolph will be playing not alongside Johnny Newton next year. I mean, Keith Randolph still has the option to obviously try his hand in the NFL. January 16th, I think, is the day they have to decide. So obviously he can still do that, but you may have it next year. I mean, listen, if one of those guys comes back, that's to me a huge bonus for this team. And if both, then wow. then I think your defense, obviously on the back end, you're a little worried because you don't know who's going to be basically filling the shoes. I mean, we kind of know who's going to, but are they going to be as good as Devin Witherspoon, as good as Sidney Brown, et cetera, in that defensive backfield? So, yeah, I mean, there's question marks going in next season, but it would certainly be a nice one not to have to work. Terrence Jamison would be the happiest guy in America. He would sleep well saying, oh, I got Newton and Randolph back. I'm good.
Great cornerstones for Aaron Henry to build off.
Oh, huge.
In terms of his defense. That's one less hole to fill. Not to say you can't have the progression of within your roster being able to slot guys in, but you imagine when you lose guys like that quality, if you were to, then maybe an area you really got to go out and address in the portal to bring in some older guys and to fill that spot. So if you could bring back 2 all-conference level defensive linemen, I mean, that'd be a huge deal. And I'm not as tapped in on the football side as I am on basketball, but I've heard some things in recent weeks that originally Johnny was earmarked for the NFL, and that now with the NIL, they got him thinking a lot more about it. I think Keith you should feel in a good spot. We'll see what he says today.
Okay.
But I know that Johnny even mentioned in the article on Inquirer that he hopes that the NFL is the ultimate destination at the end of this. Like, he hopes he gets the feedback that he wants and that this year he's going to go, but we'll see what he ultimately hears and how much that NIL money or just an opportunity to come back and improve his stock will sway it one way or the other.
That'd be huge. Well, today, Brett Bielema and Zach Arnett, the Mississippi State coach, they had their media session, if you will, down in Tampa at the ReliaQuest Bowl. I've got a few clips from Bielema, not a lot, but one of those is the question we were just talking about, like who's going to step up in this bowl game, essentially, and for the guys that essentially played all season. I think Jeremy Werner is on this one asking the question.
Brett, you talked about how this could be a springboard to next year, specifically at running back and DB with the guys opting out. What do you expect to see? Who do you expect to make an impact?
As you guys know, we really got banged up in the secondary at the end of the year of this season. So, obviously Spoon and Sid were huge parts of our back end, our success. But we have been able the last 2 or 3 games to get, Xavier Scott, had a tremendous role really from the Michigan game on and played a lot of football for us. Josh McCray on the opposite side of the ball, obviously with Chase hopping out. Josh has been 100% involved in bowl practice because he actually did the Devo practice too because he was cleared to play at that point. So, he's basically a guy that we were counting on big things before the year's ever started, and he's never been full strength since Indiana. So he ran right, almost ran over me today. He looks pretty good.
He literally almost ran Coach over. That'd be a heck of a collision there. So, but Josh McCray looks like, Chase obviously not playing in this thing, but it's going to be good to see Josh McCray go out there. You still have, Chase Hayden? You still have Reggie Love.
Yep.
Aiden Laughley if needed. So you've got kind of all hands on deck. In fact, I think Coach Bielema said today that Josh Geske, I think is his name, he's like a young offensive lineman, is the only one that's kind of banged up from anybody that's, not playing because of not wanting to or that were lost for the season in terms of injuries. But otherwise, Illinois is pretty healthy. And we'll see what happens. Another thing that happened today, speaking of defense, and you mentioned Aaron Henry's name, it's the worst kept secret around, but today it was made official. Aaron Henry is officially the defensive coordinator for Illinois football. What were your thoughts on that? Obviously a huge void with Ryan Walters leaving. You also then basically had 2 in-house candidates with Kevin Kane, who's been a defensive coordinator before. Aaron Henry has not, but he's a guy that obviously played for Brett Bielema when he coached at Wisconsin. He hired him as a GA down at Arkansas. Aaron Henry was going to be a preacher. And Brett Bielema said, I think you could affect a lot of young men this way as well. So why don't you try the coaching? And Aaron Henry did, and I'm sure he's fine with that. So what were your thoughts with either Henry or Kane, number one, or did you think it'd be somebody from the outside?
I don't know. I trusted Brett Bielema to make the decision.
That's a great way to say it.
That's kind of the way you go about it, where the guy that handpicked Ryan Walters, you probably put trust in to make the right decision the second time when Ryan Walters makes the move across the Big Ten West. So Yeah, you heard and you read kind of the expectation. I think not even locally, but also nationally, there was the pinpointed, well, look out for Kevin Kane as an in-house guy who's been in D.C. before and he was an associate head coach, was he not?
I believe.
So then it was kind of like, all right, if it's not going to be Jim Leonard or even I know Chris Ash was a name that was thrown out there too as someone that Brett Bielema had ties to, that'd probably be Kevin Kane. So for it not to be him, I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I honestly don't know enough about it to say, oh, that was a bad move. And I would just trust Brett Bielema, a guy that in 2 years has his team winning 8 games and had the number 1 scoring defense in the country to be able to self-evaluate and know what the right move for this program is. And, I mean, for Aaron Henry to be in charge of the secondary, it's been a pretty darn good 2 years for that secondary as far as progression, what Witherspoon's become, how Sidney Brown elevated his game, Quan Martin.
Yes.
And Brett's going to know Aaron in terms of, like, I think the play calling dynamic of it is interesting, though.
Right.
Because there is another level of what you got to do when you become the guy that's calling the plays, play in and play out, so to speak. But I think in terms of his coaching, in terms of what knowledge of the game, how he relates to these guys as far as that entire room now, I think Brett's got a pretty good feel for that.
I love the soundbite we played like last week from Brett Bielema talking about Aaron Henry, and essentially he looked at Ryan Walters one day just out of nowhere, and he's like, that kid's got something special. He's got it, doesn't he? And Ryan Walters is like, oh, he's got it. So, in other words, he's got the ability to be the next defensive coordinator here at Illinois. We found out, obviously, before the official news, but we weren't the first to find out. In fact, a lot of recruits were the first to find out that Aaron Henry was the defensive coordinator. Brett Bielema mentioned that again today.
Unfortunately, because of the timing of the whole thing, I believe Tuesday morning I knew that Ryan was going to get the job. I was with Aaron, that's when I told him. And then we were at homes that week, and of course, that was the last week of live recruiting, so I was telling people in the homes, like, hey, everybody wanted to know who's going to be the D coordinator. I'm like, well, you're sitting right next to him. And they thought I was talking about me. I'm like, no, the other side, right? And I really wanted to keep it under wraps just for one reason. I think there's a great power in telling your players first, right? But it was just kind of the way that it played out. I knew that wasn't going to be possible. And then literally Taz literally called. Aaron and I were in the car. I just told Aaron I was going to name him coordinator about an hour earlier. We were driving to a recruit's home, and Taz called, and he thought he was worried he was going to be leaving, right? So Aaron had begun to tell a few guys that what was happening as well. So, but the reaction's been awesome. And just at practice, obviously there's a game plan involved with Mississippi State. We'll do a lot of things that we've done, but we'll also change up some things. And I'm excited for the offseason. Whoever I bring in there in the outside linebacker room, I know exactly what I'm looking for there. I got a pool of about 5-6 guys, and I'll kind of sort through that with Aaron and the rest of the staff. I'm kind of elevating J-Mo as well to a title that I think those two guys, you can do that when you have guys that know each other. Heck, those guys play together, right? So I think it's exciting about what our defense has been and maybe possibly where it can go.
Yeah, let's see. And obviously that's going to be a question mark leading into next season. Not only look, I mean, let's be honest, and I mentioned this to you last week, Ryan Walters deserves a head coaching job. It's also a pretty good time to go. If I told you that all 4 of your 2 cornerbacks and your 2 safeties are gone, possibly your 2 big defensive linemen are gone, if I told you all of that and basically said I'm taking 6 studs that were essentially, all of them were essentially all Big Ten, I'm taking them all away from you for next year. Now go coach the team. Listen, there's some work to be done. And in other words, I guess what I'm saying is we can't judge Aaron Henry next year on one season because you're filling gaps. I'm not sure how good Ryan Walters would have had this defense next year. That doesn't mean I don't think the defense can be good, and especially if Newton and Randolph come back. But I still think there's going to be a work in progress, obviously, with this defense.
There will be. Now, we said that, obviously not to the same extent, but we said that going into this year.
Yeah, we did. We totally
lost
did.
Owen Carney, and you had Jake Hansen and Kirby Joseph, and I was like, well, I was wrong in saying the defense will take some kind of step back. It's just how big of a step back will it be? Well, I was I was dead off. Not dead on, dead off. I don't know if that's even a term.
We'll go with it.
But, yeah, to be the number one scoring defense in the country, yes, when you factor in what you're going to lose, but we talked about Johnny Newton's stock. Like, how do you get better than number one scoring defense out there? You don't. That's the highest stock that Ryan Walters is ever going to have. You look at the quick turnaround. You compare it to Lovie Smith's defense and where those units stacked up in terms of being towards the bottom of not only the Big Ten but Power 5, giving up 30 points a game seemingly for a handful of years, and now to be the best out there. Why wouldn't Ryan Walters be looking to make that jump, to be a hot name out there? And then, again, like, he got offered 5 times his salary.
Right.
If he would have stayed here, he would have gotten a raise. He would not have been getting $5 million a year. So I don't blame him at all. It was a perfect time for him to go and seek something else and to make that move in his coaching career. And it just so happened to be at Purdue and within your division, which stinks. And there is the kind of the residual effect, which we're still seeing with Corey Patterson. And there's even questions. I know that Jeremy wrote about Isaiah Williams today. And, of course, everyone's wondering, Corey Patterson, who coached Isaiah in Pee Wee football in high school.
Every level.
Is going to be the wide receivers coach at Purdue. Oh, man.
It worries you.
That one would sting.
That would sting.
Can I say this, though? We always kind of get a chuckle out of how Brett Bielema approaches some of these answers in press conferences. And look, he's a very confident guy, bordering on brash at times. Which, look, the dude is confident. He's selling himself. He's selling his program.
Making $6 million.
Making $6 million. Good personality. Great personality.
Great personality.
I mean, we didn't play a lot of Lovey clips on this show for a reason because they just weren't that enthralling.
Great call.
But I would say that if he intentionally said what he said about, I was talking to the recruits and I said, the defensive coordinator's in the room and it's not me. If that was a shot at Lovie Smith, that is awesome.
I didn't even think about that.
That would be brilliant and hilarious. Maybe it wasn't. But the fact that Lovie, when Hardy Nickerson was no longer gone, I just think of you go to a boardroom. Or it's even in the movie, Horrible Bosses.
Oh.
You think Jason Bateman is about to get the promotion, and he comes in and says, I've decided to name me for the position. I'm going to knock down this wall and make a joint office, and now I'm absorbing that role. That is what Lovie Smith did for the DC, and I don't know.
That's a great point.
If that's what he did, I enjoyed that.
That was very there's a word for that. That was very well done, if that's what he did. I hadn't thought
even
about
if
that.
unintentionally. I'll just think of it in that way.
I'm going to play one more from Brett. We'll play some more a little bit next hour, kind of get more of a macro look at, just the reward of these kids playing in this bowl game that is coming up, Monday, right? Monday at 11 here. I'm so confused because down there it'll be noon, et cetera, but 11 o'clock Monday against Mississippi State, ESPN 2 is where you will watch that if you don't go to the game. But on that topic of hiring a defensive coordinator, now he's got to hire a defensive backs coach, which I think he alluded today that he was going to do tomorrow. So he's going to announce this tomorrow, is what I'm thinking was what he had said today. And then he said he wanted to wait on the linebacker coach, the outside linebacker coach. Of course, Andy Boo coaches the inside linebackers. So Kevin Kane was outside. He wants to wait on the linebacker coach, J.J. Watt.
I was going to wonder if you're going to bring that up.
J.J. Watt.
There's no way that happened.
J.J. Watt and Aaron Henry played together. No. J.J. Watt just had his first baby. He's not going to then jump right into an assistant coaching role that you're never home.
Exactly.
He's not
You're
going
on the road recruiting.
Right. J.J. Watt is not going to do that.
No, definitely not.
But it is fun for 1 second to go, that'd be cool to have J.J. Watt out there as your –
it would be phenomenal.
Oh, my goodness. I'd pretty much tell Terrence Jameson, you're coaching the linebackers now, because one of the best ever is coaching the defensive line, J.J. Watt. But no.
It's fun to think about.
Yeah, it is. So he's got a secondaries coach he has to hire, even though Aaron Henry kind of specializes in that, I believe.
Jim Leonard
would be fine with me, too. I mean, I think Leonard can take a pay cut. He's made enough money.
No. That's not going to happen either.
Brett Bielema, though, addressed that issue today about some of the new assistants, essentially that he still has to hire.
Anytime I replace an assistant, I try to build on what we've already done, but I like to bring in a different, kind of not an opposite, but a different a different way of doing things. I think in the outside linebacker room, I'd really like to bring something that brings a lot of pass rush value. I really think we have an outside. Kevin had done a great job of building that room. That outside linebacker group might be one of the most talented groups I've ever been around, just in pure numbers and quality of players. And then obviously running back, with Chase leaving, one of the best in the country, but I feel pretty good about some of these other guys we recruited. So I think it's been overwhelmingly amazing to me how many people have reached out to me about these two jobs. The DD job, I think, got out there pretty quick in the community what I was going to do, so that hasn't been a big one. But outside backer and running back, it's going to be fun to see who I want to go with.
What? He said the DB job got out there pretty quick in the community of what I'm going to do. I haven't heard that.
I don't know.
Are you and I missing something in this age of Twitter?
Must not be part of the community.
I guess not.
Community doesn't want to talk to us.
He said that, and it threw me off today. I was like, what? Unless maybe he's alluding to the fact that he's going to announce it quick. But I don't know.
I assume he's letting it know that within the coaching community it got out who he's going to hire, but we just don't know.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Who that is.
Because I was like, I was kind of listening to that audio while I was doing a few things, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what? What did he just say? So I don't know. Maybe somebody will text in on the U of I line, text line, and let us know how to do that. All right.
We've had a couple on that text line. A couple hire Jay Lamans.
Oh,
of course, for the outside linebacker position.
That'd be pretty cool.
Would be cool.
I think Jay's in a pretty good spot.
I would agree.
Right now. I mean, he's doing great with his real estate. He's hanging out with us. I mean, I think he would do it. But, Jay's got 3 kids. Listen, I'll never sit here and assume that I know that somebody's making a lot of money or not making money or whatever, right? You should never assume anything. I feel as though he's pretty successful. And, yeah, he gets to come and meet with us weekly during the football season.
That's right.
So, I mean,
But he knows ball. He could do it.
Oh, he could do it.
He knows ball. He turned himself into an All-American. He talks all the time about how he wasn't the most athletic dude, but as far as, knowing the game, getting his body right, eating all that raw steak and taking shots of vegetable oil, I don't know how.
I bet Jay Lehman would be shocked. I'm talking about a guy that played and was an All-American, and a guy that's close to the program, a guy that was on Big Ten Network, still doing some games. I bet when if he was hired as a coach and was there on a day-to-day basis, I bet it would shock him how athletic these kids are. Compared to what he was. I mean, you know how it is. Every 10 years, we're 5 times more athletic than what we were 10 years ago. You watch film from the 80s, of any sport. In the 80s, I mean, if you played baseball, you didn't have muscles. Rarely.
That's true.
You had guys that were strong, but they were like farm boy strong. But then you look at guys today, and shortstops are built like linebackers. And who's the shortstop for the Pirates is 6'8"?
Yeah.
It's just athletes just continuously get better.
They are progressing. The one thing I would say is those Ron Zook rosters.
Yeah, that's true.
Had some SEC to them.
That's a good point.
Vontae, Aurelius, Martez Wilson.
Martez.
For Jay to be in that era, that roster.
That's a great point.
He saw some dudes that were really athletic. And one thing that you said back then about Illinois that you done hear recently is speed, really high-level athleticism that they had some of.
Yes.
And then here of late, now I know Brett Bielema, I mean, there's athletes on that defense for sure, has turned that. But some of how long have you said this team needs speed? They don't really have a whole lot of it.
They never have. And then all of a sudden, boy, it makes a difference. I asked Jay one time, I think you were gone, I think you were on that New York trip. I asked Jay, what if you would have had Martez Wilson's body? And he's like, well, you'd be introducing me daily as a former NFL player, Jay Lehman. I mean, Martez Wilson was just absolutely a beast when it came to he was cut. He was a 5-star guy, right? I mean, for a reason. He looked the part like Vontae Davis. All right. We know there's a basketball game tonight. Bethune-Cookman is in town for a 7:30 tip. Let's don't forget either that Shauna Green and the Illinois women's basketball team at Wisconsin. When we come back, you'll hear a little bit from Brad Underwood, a little bit from Shauna Green. We will address and talk more Illinois football next hour as well. Keith Randolph joining us at 5:05, Illinois defensive lineman Keith Randolph Jr.? I don't know anymore.
It's all messed up.
Does it matter anymore?
He's listed as a sophomore.
Okay.
But he's been here since 2019.
Okay.
So.
Because he's got a COVID year he could still use, I assume. He probably redshirted a year.
Redshirted a year, then got an extra year. So in school, he's like a senior.
And he's EJ's buddy.
Best friend.
Best friend. I forgot about that. All right, well.
He's been one of the funnier.
He's
entertaining guests that we've ever had. I loved when we had him on. I think it was him and Johnny at Game Day Spirit.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
and he was hilarious.
Brett Moore, the SID for Illinois, he and I were visiting this morning at 5:40 a.m. 5:40, but of course it's 6:40 down there, and these guys have so many things going on that I'm guessing Brett's getting about 1 hour of sleep. You know that last night they bowled. Today they went to Busch Gardens and did that kind of stuff. So it's just constant. And when we were trying to figure out who to have on, Brett was like, Johnny was on yesterday, a lot of people. And I said, what about Randolph? And he's like, yeah, he'd be great. And he's like, he'll love to do it. That's exactly how he put it. I said, well, then let's get Keith Randolph on and roll from there. So we'll do that at 5:05. Excited for that. When we come back, we'll talk a little Illinois basketball with the men and women getting ready for a game tonight. The women back in Big Ten play. The men still have one more before they get back into Big Ten play. So I'll ask Pipes about that. He asked some questions yesterday to Brad Underwood that you'll hear next. It is The Drive.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. As much as I did my research, he has a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
PDR Automotive in Urbana is a locally owned repair shop, and they've now serviced over 250,000 vehicles in their near 50-year history. Now, that's more than 4 times the size of a sold-out Memorial Stadium. It's more than all Division I athletes in the country combined. That's more than the entire population of Champaign County. That's more than, well, you get the idea. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Flowers equals smiles equals happiness. Think love with flowers. The Blossom Basket florist can put a smile on everyone's face with a beautiful spring floral creation. Let their flowers make you a hero. Flowers are always affordable for all occasions, from simple to simply magnificent. Visit them online at blossombasket.com or come into their store at 1002 North Cunningham Avenue in Urbana.
The Blossom Basket florist, the florist you pick.
It's a magical season at Merle Norman. Shop our limited edition Starry Rosé Shadow Palette while supplies last, featuring 12 matte to metallic shadows for creating day-to-night eye looks. Try 4 new luminous shades of plush lip gloss, a glowing natural rose champagne tone bubbly, sparkling plum, and red luster, all made with hyaluronic acid to keep lips healthy and hydrated all winter long. Magical holiday color collection available now at Merle Norman, 706 West Markview Drive in Champaign over by Subway.
At the Long Branch Steakhouse, you know about the incredible steaks cooked to perfection. But did you know you can have your own private holiday or Christmas party at the Long Branch in Gifford? If you have a company party that you're planning, you can rent the whole place on a Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday night. To plan your event between 25 and 50 people, call 217-568-7722. We did it. It was fabulous. The Long Branch Steakhouse for your Christmas or holiday party. Limited nights are available. Call 217-568-7722.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Georgia B. Catch my boys Lante and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Drive. Boom, boom, brrr.
Underwood was on a roll today talking about analytics. And I was yawning. Yesterday. And I was yawning. I go,
it's not your thing?
No.
Did you push back on, the analytics, he says the Illinois half-court defense is awesome? Did you kind of
I did get that.
And my eyes say a little bit different?
What came out after the Illinois-Missouri game that there was something that was tweeted out about shot selection. And the idea that...
Oh, yeah. I hate those.
That normally...
I hate those.
Illinois would have won that game by 10 on a normal basis. And I'm like, what? They lost by 30!
I forget exactly what it's called, but it judges your shot quality. I think that's what it is.
Shot quality.
So they look at, it's all analytically based, like threes and layups. Threes and shots at the rim are the best quality. If you're taking mid-range jumpers, by percentage, you're not going to have as good of a... it's a computer projection based on where you're taking the shots from.
Okay.
But it factors in no feel of the game, I don't even know if it can judge how contested certain shots were versus others. Long story short, I don't like them that well. No one watching that game thought Illinois, number one, should have won or should have, won by double digits based on the shots that they took. They didn't run any offense.
No. Hey, speaking of that, you were one of a few, not many. Everybody else is down covering the bowl game. You were one of a few to talk to Brad Underwood yesterday, and this offense, we talked all about it yesterday. We talked all about the offense. We talked all about the defense. I mean, we kind of broke everything down.
There's a lot to talk about.
If you want to hear about Illinois basketball, then you need to podcast yesterday's because we spent about an hour 50 talking about Illinois basketball in that Missouri game and just in general what this team is kind of going through right now because, as you had said, their vibe is off, and it's stinking true. You had asked Brad Underwood today exactly about that in terms of the offense.
Offensively in the half court, is there anything off the ball that isn't happening that could make things easier for those?
Screening, setting them up, moving, cutting. And we're a really good cutting team. Numbers show that. I mean, you've got to be able to move the basketball. The ball has to have energy. You watch at any level, the EuroLeague, the NBA, high school, when the ball moves and has energy, and energy meaning movement, the ball doesn't stick. It always finds a way to go in. And we had 19 offensive rebounds the other night. Huge deal. That's who we are. We have that taken care of. We're up there in free throw attempts. That's great. But it can be just one pass, and then everybody stand. And when we've been really good in our 5-out stuff, it's been ball movement. It's been player movement. Right now, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, this is something that they're going to work on, and they've had a lot of time to work on. You asked that question as well about just getting the idea of just getting to know your guys better, essentially, and that's what you had asked about, or to Brad.
What goes into that self-evaluation process? I know every year you have this break in the schedule to maybe do that, but as a staff, how do you look at that and work on that?
Well, we look at analytics all the time. We look at trends probably outside the first 5 games. The first 5 games, there's not enough data, enough information. I mean, we got 8 or 9 new guys now, and we knew there was going to be speed bumps, and we knew there was going to have to be some adjustments along the way. Until you throw guys out there, you don't know what they can and can't do. And we've got what we call a quick series that we run in transition that we've run since before time. We've scored 7 points out of it all year. And so it doesn't work with this group. It's not something that we're good at. And it's no different than we did some of the same things last year. All of a sudden we figured out, okay, here's, Alfonso Plummer was not going to keep shooting him off the side of the backboard like he did at Marquette and play 4 minutes.
RJ did
we had to get him shots, so we had to figure out how to utilize him in different ways. And it's the same thing here. That's portal alignment and getting to know your guys, really.
Yeah, and he kind of went on from there, just talking about, you got new guys everywhere with the freshmen coming in. You've got guys that are transferring in, and again, they are kind of getting to know each other. I mean, what's their record? 8-5?
8-4.
8-4. So they played 12 games together. The problem is you got to get it together quick, because now all of a sudden the heart of the Big Ten order is going to come out. So,
yeah, and there was always going to be that acclimation process for this team, not only for the coaches to figure out the guys in terms of what we should run and how, what does Terrence Shannon do so well? What are his strengths? What do we have to put him in situations to be able to maximize that? And then also for the guys on the floor to actually have the cohesion, be able to read each other, to know where certain guys are going to be. So that's always been something that this team was going to have to overcome with so many new guys. And we're seeing it now where you beat UCLA, you beat Texas, you were in that game with Virginia. You're like, oh, maybe they figured this out a lot sooner than we thought it would.
About ready to ask you that.
And then all of a sudden it just derailed.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Penn State loss, and then there's internal, dare I say it, I might get in trouble. Internal conflict or strife or disconnect, whatever you want to call it. And then that is factored into some issues where they're not on the same page with their switching. And then in the half court, I think they've just done a lot of standing.
Yeah.
Done a lot of standing. They haven't run a whole lot, and they've settled for early shots. And I think it'll be interesting to see tonight, do they run more set plays? Is Brad going to just take more control now and kind of get away from some of the freelancing and some of the freedom that he's given this team?
Interesting. It's funny because in my head I was going to ask you, did they fool us against UCLA and Baylor? In other words, did they put us into a false sense of security that, oh, wow, this team right off the bat is – but, I mean, you're not going to apologize for beating UCLA, for battling Virginia, for beating Texas. You're not going to apologize for that.
You won't, and I think that it's just the wild swings of those games.
Right.
Where
you were down 15 to UCLA.
You were, and it looked like you were going to get blown out in that game, and it was going to be like, oh, here's that early lump that you thought this team could take. And then they come back, and their defense completely wrecks UCLA and one of the best point guards out there in Tiger Campbell, and Terrence Shannon hits 8 threes.
Well, that helped.
That helps. And now since the last 5 games, he's 2 for 22 from 3. So where does that water ultimately balance out for him as a three-point shooter? That's a big question. But, yeah, I think that you can get confused, a little bit fooled, but I don't think that – I think the ceiling is still there.
Yeah.
I think the high water mark of when it was going really good against Texas and you come back against UCLA. The problem is you were coming back. The problem is in every one of these games, even the ones you've won, you've dug yourself a big hole.
Mm-hmm.
And here recently, you've dug yourself a big hole against Penn State and Missouri, and then that hole just gets deeper and you don't come back.
And in their minds, they're probably like, well, something's going to click all of a sudden. We're going to do this. Well, something may click in terms of playing time.
Our turnover rate has been astonishing. So time to, not that we haven't tried to address it, but really make it a point of concentration for everybody. And mistakes are to the point now where guys may have to go to the bench and learn from mistakes that way.
There you go. Well, he basically just said it right there. There might be some time on the bench for some of these guys.
Oh, and tonight's the perfect night to do it.
Yeah.
Tonight would be a night to change up the starting lineup, which I know Brad always pushes back on. He says, you guys care way more about the starting lineup than I do.
We do.
But I think that's in terms of like a production standpoint, or you're worried about, that first 4-minute stretch, what's Illinois going to be? Right. But in terms of a motivation
I was going to say, that sends a message.
If you want to send a message to anybody, now, of course, I think that now people are looking at the message he sent after Penn State, and some are saying, obviously, that didn't go over well.
No.
You got to know your guys. You got to know who can handle that, who will be motivated by that in the right way, who would just can shut off or be too sensitive about it. But if you want to make a switch tonight, if you want to throw Sincere Harris in the starting lineup tonight, if you want to throw Jaden Epps, whatever you want to do,
let's go.
You could do it tonight and just be more of a quick trigger with using that bench to your advantage. Again, you got to be careful and delicate because you got these egos and these personalities and guys that are reeling right now. Like, do you want to bench Coleman Hawkins?
Yeah, it's almost like, do you want to pile on?
Because his offensive confidence is shot. So that's the challenge on Brad's plate tonight. But to the point of you're playing such a bad team.
Yeah.
you can play around a little bit
Right.
with some things.
Although I'd rather Coleman just get out of his funk.
Right.
And some of these guys.
Yeah.
There is a new guy on the team. Zach, not Perrine now, right? It's Perrin.
So originally we were told Zachary Perrine, but now it's Zach Perrin.
Perrin. You asked today about Zach because I've probably had 6 people say, why isn't he playing? Well,
he just got here.
I know you still haven't seen a whole lot of Zach, but would you feel comfortable putting him in a game, and what would be that indicator in terms of when you'd feel like he could go out there and help you?
Yeah, I'm going to be fair to Zach. You know, he's a really good player, and he's been in this will be his 4th practice. So I want to be fair to him. I don't want him to get in a situation where he's out there and he doesn't know what we're doing, or he's not comfortable, or he's not lost. He's surprisingly in really good shape or in decent shape for short periods of time. Again, he measured 7'1", 220 in shoes, but he's not taking the physical beating that you take in a game to have that point of conditioning where he's going to play long periods of time.
There you go. So I wouldn't expect to see a lot of Zachary Perrin. Not right now. Maybe he figures out a role as we go along. But keep in mind, you guys still got Luke Goody to get back. Can you ask Brad the next time, when Goody's back, how do you factor him in now? What are you expecting when a healthy Luke Goody's on your team? What are you expecting out of him? Because I think we're getting close to that time where we need to start asking about Luke.
It is.
I'm not telling you how to do your job, by the way. I just thought of that today. I'm like, I want to know about Luke.
I always think it's funny on Twitter. Guys are like, will you ask this in the post game? Sometimes I might consider it, but I usually try to come up with my own angles.
I was going to say, and you ask great questions.
But no, that's a good one. And Luke told us that it's supposed to be around the turn of the calendar, so maybe even next week that he goes back to the doctor and we'll be told if he's fully cleared or not. We'll get in practice, and then it will be on Brad to find out the right way to implement him.
Okay. Hey, the Illini women, 11-2, 1-1. They're playing a Wisconsin team tonight on the road. 6:30 game time. Wisconsin's 4-9 and 0-2. So this could
Hate to see it.
Yeah. This could be a good chance for Shauna Green and their crew to keep the winning going. What does she expect out of the Badgers?
Every game's just so dangerous, and Wisconsin's dangerous because their ability to shoot the three. And, you know, their perimeter, how they spread you, their system, you know, it's a lot of screens, a lot of action. And again, just a threat from outside. And they have a really good freshman post play player that, you know, she's dangerous down there. So they present a lot of different problems. But luckily we've played some teams that fit the style that they play. You think Missouri, you think Butler, you know, with a lot of shooters, even Indiana to some regard, you know, a ton of shooters and a ton of screens off the ball. That has hopefully got us prepared. All
right, so Shauna Green and the Illini women, 11-2, 1-1 in Big Ten play, start back in Big Ten play against a Wisconsin team that's 4-9 and 0-2. I thought it was interesting. Someone asked her about, it's funny, like, Derek, when was the last time you looked at a game like this and said, oh, the Illini women are the favorites? But, like, I look at this, and Illinois is 11-2, Wisconsin's 4-9, so you would assume, and she's right when she says, look, it's dangerous, right? I mean, Wisconsin could come out, hit 18 threes tonight, and, you know, like Terrence Shannon hit an 8 against UCLA. I mean, that makes a difference. But it's amazing to just think, oh, well, hey, our team is actually the favorite to win games now. So someone asked Shauna Green about, have you kind of looked at the big picture of this? Like down the road, like getting this team into some postseason play.
It's really our approach, right? Like even the years that, you know, our teams were supposed to win it and supposed to do this, like it's not, you have to stay in the moment. You have to stay in what can we do today. You got to block out all the noise, block out everything else because there are so many games left. I mean, so many games left in the Big Ten, like every game, like you could lose every game, you could win every game, and so you can't get too far ahead, you can't get too far behind, you have to stay present. So those are the things we talk about. Now I did talk about even after the Missouri game, and I told them, you know, talk to them about net, because a lot of these guys, you know, they don't even know what that means. So I talked to them about that. I'm like, we're to the point now that I wasn't going to talk to them about that. They never needed to. I wasn't even thinking about net going into the season, you know, but those are things that, a win on the road at a team, like Missouri, that matters. And how you beat people matters. And the efficiency matters. So those are things I've mentioned to them now because I want them to understand. And I also think that we have, even though we're young and experienced, but we're old enough and mature enough to handle those things, because that stuff matters.
What is the net?
It's the new RPI.
Okay. I'm kidding. I know what it is. But I don't have a definition for it.
It's just your current standing in the NCAA tournament picture based on your resume.
Got it. Okay. Well, there's the definition then. You had one. I said to you, how surprised if Shauna Green took truth serum and was sitting on here with us, how surprised is she at 11-2? You took an Indiana, you beat a good Missouri team. You crushed a team last year that played in the NCAA tournament. Then you beat another good team. So I guess my question would be, how surprised are you to be 11-2 at this moment? I bet she'd be shocked.
I think the truth serum is really the key there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise coaches generally will not tell you that they're surprised by success. And then they wire their brain to expect that, to demand that, to instill the confidence in their teams that even though maybe the outside view is that it could be a rough go or this is going to be a big turnaround. But I think even Brad, as he's gotten more open and reflective on what it was like year one on the men's side.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost to Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was the wake-up call, like, oh, this could get pretty tough. And it took a while for Brad to really be like, yeah, I didn't know how many games we're going to win that year.
Right.
And I think that Shauna, knowing the circumstance, when we had her on the show and I asked her about the previous history of this program, and she said
that's right.
Part of her answer was, well, I said no originally to
right.
Josh. So I think in her mind would be like, I'm coming from this winning program at Dayton, and I'm going to come here where they haven't done any winning, like beyond just the previous coach didn't have it figured out. They haven't have it figured out in 20 years.
No.
So yes, the answer to your question, I'm sure she's surprised, but at the same time, she brought in some good transfers.
She did.
She obviously knows what she's doing and knows what winning takes and building a culture, and there's just a good amount of confidence. I hope it sustains for this team because they've been a great story.
I do too.
And it's good to have those good vibes and good feelings, and the fact that we have a reason to talk about them on the show.
You got 45 seconds. Kevin Warren as Bears president, CEO. What would you think if that happened?
Yep. We'll just fall on that one for everybody around the league. And
oh, you're about to go blasphemous. That is blasphemous. How dare you
I would love to introduce today Kevin Warren as the new president and CEO of the Chicago Bears. Yeah! I had to do that.
I don't know what to say about it, honestly.
You got 10 seconds.
It's a big loss for Michigan. I'll just tell you that. Hope they can recover.
Oh, Keith Randolph, Illinois football, joins us live next. It's The Drive.
Hey, could you tell me what aisle your car batteries are in? Sure, I'll go grab one for you. Here's your battery. It might be expired, but oh well. Also, the brand isn't that great, but it should work for at least a year or two, maybe. Anyways, I went ahead and charged you for it, and here's the battery. Okay, have a great day. What just happened?
Sometimes good things are hard to find, but they're worth the wait. Make the trip out to Interstate All Battery Center at 2504 North Madison Avenue and get all of your battery needs taken care of by the trusted professionals. Give them a call today at 355-4855.
What does the Apple Dumpling restaurant offer?
The Apple Dumpling serves up homemade favorites, fried chicken, sandwiches, delicious chicken and noodles, beef and noodles, and meatloaf as comfort food.
And of course, the Apple Dumpling with a scoop of ice cream, perhaps.
Visit this community treasure if you're looking for great people, great atmosphere, and great food in Urbana.
The Apple Dumpling Restaurant.
Open Tuesdays through Saturdays with a lunch buffet on Sundays.
On High Cross Road in Urbana.
You can look up the Apple Dumpling on Facebook.
Hi, this is Kirk Lehman with Aftershock Decals and Design. And right now we are looking for an honest, hardworking individual that wants a career with Aftershock Decals and Design. If you have any kind of experience wrapping vehicles, tinting windows, we want you.
You can't touch this.
No, not that kind of wrapper.
Can't touch this.
Please go to our website at aftershockdd.com, click on the jobs tab, and send in your resume. We want you. aftershockdd.com.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Repositioning crew and aircrafts has been a manual process that takes time with its point-to-point system. And time it has surely taken, as thousands of flights are still canceled. But Southwest says things will go back to normal by Friday.
They promise with minimal disruptions. Plenty of disruptions today across the nation. 2,400, almost 2,500 cancellations across the board of American aviation. But 2,300 plus of those belong to Southwest Airlines as they still feel the impact of the meltdown from this winter storm. Jump ahead to tomorrow, and that number drops to 39 projected cancellations, again, as the executives are promising a return to normal operations.
Fox's Mike Tobin. Meanwhile, the U.S. is requiring anyone traveling from China to test 2 days before leaving and provide a negative before boarding their flight.
CDC is announcing this step to slow the spread of COVID-19 in the United States during the surge of COVID-19 cases in the PRC, given the lack of adequate and transparent epidemiological and viral genomic sequence data being reported from the PRC, People's Republic of China. Now, before the Biden team took control, during the 2020 primaries, travel restrictions like this one were considered by the Biden team political. Remember, a day after President Trump limited travel from China, Biden's campaign account tweeted, "We are in the midst of a crisis with the coronavirus. We need to lead the way with science, not Donald Trump's record of hysteria, xenophobia, and fear-mongering."
Fox's Peter Ducey and Vivienne Westwood, an influential fashion designer who played a key role in the punk movement, died today. Westwood's team announcing the death on social media, saying she died peacefully. She was 81. America is listening to Fox News.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus, and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
A mother and father of 2, as well as another parent, were found dead in a cold Arizona lake. Police responded to reports that 3 people were missing in Woods Canyon Lake. That's when rescuers pulled the first drowning victim from the water. The others were found the next day. The couple leave behind 2 children, an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. Officials say they had been posing for pictures on the icy lake when they fell through. Plus, a deputy has been injured in Tennessee, and the man suspected of shooting at him has been killed.
Hamilton County Sheriff Austin Garrett says a man opened fire on his deputies during a pursuit, but then they lost the vehicle. Then Sheriff Garrett says he himself spotted the car in a motel parking lot and the pursuit began again. Garrett says the man opened fire at deputies in downtown Chattanooga. 1 deputy was hit but not seriously injured, and then deputies returned fire, killing the man.
And fired at my deputies again as he came out of the car. So he was pretty intent on getting away and didn't care who he endangered in the process.
They say the man was suspected of driving a stolen car into Tennessee from Georgia, which is why the pursuit began in the first place. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
And 6 members of an organization designated as a domestic terrorism group get a $15,000 bond while they're awaiting trial in Georgia.
These 6 people are under 25 years old, mostly from out of state, and they have been charged with domestic terrorism for violent confrontations in Georgia. They've battled it out with police outside of Atlanta at a training center. It's being built for police. police on about 80 wooded acres. They are members of a group called Defend the Forest. That group has been designated as a terrorist organization by the Department of Homeland Security. In the latest scene, many of the members of the group were up in tree houses. They were wearing gas masks and in camouflage. They threw rocks and bottles at police who responded with non-lethal weapons, and police say they've attacked construction workers on a number of occasions.
Fox's Steve Harrigan, I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
It's showtime.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Pipes is writing down a lot of stuff. I'm just going to go from the gut. And joining us now, Coach Bielema, Josh Whitman joining us now.
You get to say all the cool name drops.
Do it.
Brad Underwood, our guest.
College hoops.
How do you lose to Jackson State?
Call up every single person in the media that didn't put Kofi first team All-American. And I don't know, just play like clown noises.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh, Michael Porter Jr. has been good, but he thinks the earth is flat, so I can't pick him.
Oh, boy.
Throw it up to Kofi, and he's just going to tear the rim off.
How is he so good? All right, Hans, I'm going to mute you for a while.
Okay.
Oh, there's a timeout on the court!
So what we want to do is build a same-game parlay that will win all of us some money.
Maybe Rondale Moore could be Cooper Kupp, but he's not. Is it Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that what IG means?
I think you have to win the Big Ten title to win Big Ten Player of the Year.
Woohoo!
Wow, what a bad take.
Keith Randolph should have been Big Ten Player of the Year. That wouldn't be a bad take, if you ask me. He's down there with a lot of people right now. Busch Gardens today. A lot of stuff happening. ReliaQuest Bowl. I still like Outback. Coming up Monday, baby. Derek Piper, I will be down there on the beach until game time, or game day, that is, when I'm going to head over to Tampa, Raymond James Stadium, and watch the Illini walk, and I'm going to shout at Keith and be like, Keith, it's Lon. Hey, Keith, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Dude, I'm totally going to do that. I'm just I'll be like,
hey, I'm down.
Keith, it's Lon! No, I'm kidding. I promise I won't do that. Has it set in that you guys are at a really awesome bowl and it's coming up Monday?
Yeah, it set in. When I was getting on the plane, it set in. I mean, just to fly out, and complete weather change, nice hotel and everything. It's just crazy.
Keith, you get a chance, the break at the end of the regular season until now, to kind of maybe reflect a little bit on your journey here at Illinois and to get to a place where you competed for a Big Ten West title. I know you're disappointed in not getting that, but the resurgence of this team, 8 wins to a New Year's type of bowl, like, have you got a chance to think about that in the recent weeks? And if so, what's come to mind?
Yeah, I thought about it a lot, and just reminds me just like how blessed I am, how the Lord's, had favor in my life, and just being around these guys who work hard every day, it's crazy to be just around just a great environment.
I know that Lon was chatting you up about Busch Gardens in the break there. What's just the kind of the bowl game experience been like, even off the practice field, just being around? I know that there's a lot of fans down there and will be as we get closer and closer to Monday, but just what have you guys been able to do and what that's been like down in Tampa?
Yeah, it's crazy. We've like you said, we've been to Busch Gardens, but just even like on the ride here, we just had like police escort and just carried food in and just like this very nice hotel that we stay in. It's just crazy. And everybody knows like what we're here for, who we're here to play. So it's a great experience.
Keith Randolph, our guest, Illinois defensive lineman. Are you a good bowler?
No, I suck. I suck at bowling.
So
I can play basketball, though.
I knew that.
Yeah,
I bowling has never been my thing either. Did you have fun, though, last night? I assume you did.
No, I didn't. You got to have bumpers up for me to bowl.
Oh, my, it's that bad. I didn't realize that. That isn't good.
Bumpers up.
All right, you're playing at an NFL stadium. How cool has that been? Or how cool will that be? You're not practicing there. I'm sorry. I know you've walked through it, but how cool is that going to be?
Oh, it's going to be great. Just to be able to play in an NFL stadium where Tom Brady throws a touchdown. It's just, there's no words to describe that feeling. kind of get like a little feeling on what it'll be like. Hopefully, when I end up in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to ask you about that here in a second, but Johnny Newton, yeah, I know. Keith's like, oh, here it comes.
No, go ahead.
Hey, Johnny Newton is like, he's home, man. He's from St. Pete. Is he just like, is he controllable right now? I'll put it that way.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Is Johnny Newton, now that he's home and showing off in front of the home crew, is he even controllable right now?
No, he's not. He thinks he runs the city. He's talking about, yeah, let's go here, let's do that. I've been there already. I'm like, bro, okay, shut up.
Ebor.
Did you have to open another law office there in Tampa, like a regional site?
We're working on it.
Yeah.
It opens on January 2nd.
Boom, let's go.
There you go.
Let's talk about that next step, Keith. I know you're not going to give us any news right now, but it's got to be on your mind, right, for both you and Johnny.
Yeah.
On your mind about that.
Is.
And what is it, January 16th? So you got a lot to kind of figure out here in the next couple of weeks. But, what's that process like to go through?
It's honestly a blessing. It's a blessing to have the opportunity to come back to school or declare for the draft. Just to have the opportunity, just I got to give all the praise to God. But honestly, it's nerve-wracking as well, just because, just a few years ago, I was just dunking on people and shoot threes in faces, all this other stuff, and now I thought I was going to go to the NBA, and now I'm trying to decide if I want to come back to college or go to the NFL, so it's just a blessing.
What are the benefits, what are the strengths of coming back to Illinois in your mind?
Another year of college under my belt, helped me get better at football in general, work on some technician problems that I have, get a degree from, one of the greatest universities in the country. So things like that. So, and also, staying close to home, another year. So things like that all play a part in it.
And I would assume that right now with the bowl game and everything going on, I honestly don't know how this works out. Are you able to talk to NFL scouts and such or NFL people and kind of hear what they're saying about you?
Not necessarily scouts, but I'm able to talk to like agents and stuff.
Got it.
Keith, if you were to return, Aaron Henry, the new defensive coordinator, you've obviously been around him. I know he coaches the secondary, but as far as the fans and those that are wondering what Aaron will bring in that new position as a DC, what do you think he'll bring to that position, and what is he like kind of behind the scenes for that defense?
Yeah, he's everything. He's got juice, works hard, plans everything. Just a hard-working guy, and this would be his first game as a DC, and I'm just excited. He's worked so hard for me. Just excited to see him, call them plays, and whatever he calls, I'll be excited to run it for him. So.
Keith, in terms of the development, like the way that you've developed to be in a position to go to the next level if you'd like to, for Johnny Newton to go from, he was an honorable mention guy last year, second-team All-American this year, similar position, can go to the league and have a chance to have a career. Like for you two in particular, like what's that development been like within this program, and how has that lifted you guys up in the way that you have in the last 2 years?
It's been great, honestly. I know in the past we've had great D linemen, but I feel like Johnny and I are really starting to like put a stamp on our name and on the law firm name, and just working hard, in the trenches means a lot, not just for us, and not just for Illinois, but just for the country. Everybody loves to see D linemen work hard. But we got to give credit to just people we surround ourselves around, people on our team, Coach J-Mo, Coach B. They've helped us so much to be in the position that we are in today.
Did it ever cross your mind, Keith, to not play in this game?
What? Nah.
Okay, we like to hear that.
Nah. I mean, first of all, I'm in Florida, so gotta play. It's pretty girls out here watching, so now I'm kidding. But I love the game of football. I love playing the games. SEC opponent. It's always good to put good tape out there against a great team. So I'm excited, honestly.
Is that hard where guys got to make those decisions? Not to say that they're doing the wrong thing, and obviously everyone's got to make the best for their own, but is that hard when you go into what's a big game and you're not going to have your full squad?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, just because you're comfortable with it, Like we had practice today, and I didn't hear Spoon. I didn't hear him at all, which kind of hurt because he's usually the loudest person. But I trust everybody who's on the field. Everybody who the coaches put on the field, I trust. So.
Bigger goal: win your 9th game, or just beat the hell out of an SEC team.
Say it again.
I said, what would be the bigger goal: win your 9th game, or beat the hell out of an SEC team?
My 9th game?
Yeah.
Beat the hell out of an SEC team because that's what's in front of me. So.
I love it. And that would be 9-4 on the season, which would be an incredible season. Well, Keith Randolph, you guys really sparkled this year, man. It was fun to watch you guys. I know I'm going to be down there. I can't wait to see 88 rolling around, making some plays against Mississippi State. So good luck getting ready. I know you're back in football shape again there after with the practices going. So good luck, and we'll see you guys on Monday. I'll be the geek yelling at you.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Keith. We appreciate that. Keith Randolph. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
Illinois defensive lineman Keith Randolph. I could talk to Keith all hour, but I know they're down there having fun. And I'm like, I don't want to just keep him. I could tell.
Keep him from the pretty girls?
Yeah, right. I could tell he's right around there. Because a couple of those were like shots at Johnny Newton from Keith. You think
of course.
Are those guys ever apart from each other, you think?
I think so, a little bit.
Okay.
They've even talked about when they were on our show that they got a little bit of the brotherhood. You got a little infighting at times, just like real brothers do. But then at the same time, obviously they're quite a tandem when they're up against you. You don't want that because they're monsters.
Yes, they are. There's some cool stuff happening. I know Saturday night. Oh, I think tomorrow's Clearwater Beach Day. So can you imagine that? 2 college football teams on the beach. I guess I don't know what they're going to be doing. I think the band's going to be there. They're going to have like a band competition, a cheerleader competition, football dudes just out throwing the football. Do they throw the football, or do they go take like baseball gloves and throw that?
No, I'm sure they throw the football.
Okay.
I think the guys that play the line or play defense, they always like the opportunity to show off or try to attempt to say that they could play quarterback or do other things. Like when Keith throws in the joke. I mean, he's a funny dude. He was balling up at I imagine the Arc, the Rec, and saying that he thought he was going in the NBA. He was a good basketball player.
Yes, he was.
Him and EJ on our state championship Belleville West squad.
DeVito will be just kind of laying out, right? Nothing to prove. He'll just be laying out, chilling.
Does he take the chain off, or does he get that?
I think he has it on.
Too. He has it on.
I made the mistake the other day of saying he had a white hand. It was black. It was a black tank top. That was my bad. But yeah, see, so he's just going to lay out and just kind of just chill.
You just absorb the tan lines.
Exactly.
Of the TD.
Yep. Okay. Yes. He's going to have just that in his. But then all the offensive linemen and D linemen will be out there throwing the football, and they'll be like, "Hey, Tommy, check this throw out," and he'll just be like, "Okay, that's great, guys." I mean, that's going to happen. I hope they don't get injured on.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Beach Day. There's a Hooters in Clearwater Beach. It's the original one. Wonder if they're going to Hooters. That's where I'd go.
Have you been injured there? I just wondered if the transition was meaningful at all as far as the injuries and then the Hooters.
Maybe drank a little too much at one of those, but with that Uber ride back to St. Pete, no, I can't. I look forward to it. So they'll have Clearwater Beach days. So they spend a day on the beach tomorrow. The weather's progressively getting better down there. I mean, it's good anyway, but it's just getting warmer and warmer. I think it's supposed to be like 80 degrees and sunny for game day. So that'll be a little bit of a change for these guys. I think Sunday is New Year's Day. It's supposed to be 71, I think. Probably where they're at in Tampa, maybe 76. I think by the Gulf, a little bit cooler. So, yeah, I mean, and then tomorrow night, Saturday night, they've got there's a parade that I assume the guys will take place in. I don't know. And, there's just events leading up. And then I think, probably by Sunday, it gets nitty-gritty football, right? I mean, they're already getting nitty-gritty football, but Sunday is like more of let's get our minds right, let's get ready for the game, because then that game is there early on Monday. That's an early, I mean, they're used to it. It's a noon start for them in Florida, and they had a lot of 11 a.m. starts here, so it's the same deal. But, when you haven't done it for a month, Brett Bielema said that today. He's like, I had to wake our guys up. Like, we had an early meeting because I want to see these guys get back into the idea of what we're doing down here. In fact, Coach Bielema had a couple of clips today. He and Zach Arnett, who's the Mississippi State coach, met and chatted about the game in general, and this was kind of Brett's opening statement about the ReliaQuest Bowl.
I think this game is about the reward for our guys. Went through a really kind of a tale of two different seasons. Started off a little disappointment with a Big Ten loss at Indiana, and then to go on a 6-game win streak and then have 3 tough losses in a row and to cap it off with a rivalry win against Northwestern. I thought to get the bid to come here to Tampa, a bowl experience I've had with Jim and his organization on several different occasions as a coordinator, as a head coach also. So I'm very excited to be here and looking forward to the opportunity to play on the second.
There you go. And, of course, playing against a Mississippi State team that Brett would have played a few times at Arkansas, obviously, when he was with the Hogs. Do you know much about Mississippi State?
Not a ton.
I wanted to play Ole Miss only because two things. Number one, I've been to a game there, so now I kind of have this thought in my head that I'm kind of an Ole Miss guy. Like, I know all about him, when I don't know the first thing about him. And then, of course, Lane Kiffin. I wanted to play against Lane Kiffin, but it's hard to argue playing against Mike Leach, and, of course, we understand that story.
Yep.
And that was a pretty dominant part of the press conference today.
I do know air raid offense.
Yeah.
Not a ton of deep shots on the field, as Paul Jones from the Mississippi State site informed us a few weeks ago. And I was reading his article. He did a joint one with Jeremy on the Illini Inquirer. As we discussed, they are without their leading receiver, Ra Thomas, who's in the portal, and also their leading rusher, Dylan Johnson, who's in the portal. So not only from Illinois' standpoint of having some guys with some NFL draft thoughts in their head and sitting out this game, you got on the other side some guys that are in the portal that were big contributors to this team. So both are going to have some holes to fill in terms of production and key players.
It's funny you said that. That was funny with Keith Randolph when I asked him.
I'm glad you asked him.
I mean, did it ever occur to you? And he's like, what? So that was cool to hear.
I think it's refreshing because you can kind of get in the mode of and I've said it a number of times here through the weeks of I'm afraid of what the future of bowl games will look like when you have the portal, when you have NFL draft, how much it ultimately matters to these teams. But it reminded me that there are still guys on this team, number one, that have been through the turnaround. And I was looking up during the break. This team gave up 35 points a game in 2020. Oh, my God. And this year they gave up 12.
Wow.
So for Keith to be part of both ends of that and be proud of what they've done and to go and see this, those that are playing like Keith, who never questioned about playing in this game, this is a huge game for them.
Amen.
So while we might, you can, whatever side of the fence you are on, or even if you're dead in the middle, because it's a hard argument to really plant your flag and say, Chase should absolutely play in this game. Chase should absolutely not play in this game.
Yep.
Those that are playing, I think it matters a lot to them.
Good
so
call.
That was good to hear.
I think that's a good call. That's a good take right there. And you and I talked about this after the show last night. I looked at you and I said, I hate this thing because you could totally understand both sides of the argument. A lot of times when you get in an argument with somebody, you're totally on one side, right? You're just like, okay, Derek, you're telling me that that's not black, and I'm telling you that it is, and we're going to sit here and argue about it until somebody figures out who's right. And
like when Joey tells you that SpaghettiOs suck, and you're like, no,
what is that?
That's crap.
Pekin. Those Pekin guys. But yeah, so I totally understand why Chase and Devin and Sydney aren't playing. But I totally understand why I want them to play. And there's enough arguments on the side of, well, you just had college paid for. You're getting NIL money. You should play. What's the point? I mean, Lucas brought this up the other day. The thing that worries him and that worries me too and should worry everybody is, okay, what happens if, like, after game 8, you realize that loss to Purdue, you're not going to win the West, so then guys are like, I'm done. I'm done for the season.
Yep.
I'm just going to sit out the rest of the season. I've done enough. I've got enough tape to show the NFL. Now, I don't think that would look good to an NFL team. That's
I had the same thought on that.
I think that's the one argument back towards that is I don't think any NFL team is going to sit there and go, oh, so wait a minute, you just stop playing after week 8? Like, that's not going to look good. But you get the point. You know, if by then you're averaging, let's say you're Chase Brown, you're averaging 180 yards a game and scoring 3 touchdowns a game, then it's like, well, okay, what do I need to show proof against the last 3 teams on my schedule? I mean, they know what I can do.
You wouldn't need to.
No, you wouldn't. But there again, I think I answered my own question with regards to I don't think NFL guys are going to look at that fondly.
I don't think they would, because you wouldn't want the whole idea of a guy is selfish or quit on his team or anything.
Correct.
I'm not putting that on these guys now in bowl games, because it's been, let's just say it like it is, it's been normalized for guys that are draft picks to say, no, I'm good. I need to sit out. I don't want to get hurt, and it's perfectly fine, but I just wonder what that means for bowl games going forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny because last Brett Bielema bite, that was kind of brought up to him.
It's kind of been a unique experience for me this year. I'd never, all the bowl games, 7 straight at Wisconsin and 3 of the 5 years at Arkansas, I'd never had a player opt out of a game, right? So that was the first challenge. We had 3 guys pop out, obviously, 3 good players. So that's the first unique challenge. But we actually had 4 practices in before we even knew our opponent. As soon as you became bowl eligible, I started a in-season 8-week program that allowed our developmental crew to go on an 8-week window of strength and conditioning and training, a little bit extra. And then we had 5 practices for them that were devoted only to our Devo players. So we practiced about 40 to 50 guys. So that was the biggest reward, right? It's really kind of almost like a mini spring conditioning for our younger players. And then even after we became aware, obviously we're playing Mississippi State in a very good football team. We really didn't transition to Mississippi State preparation until after 2-3 more practices where it was just good on good. We just got good at football again, and then the last 10 practices are all devoted to Mississippi State. So, and then the reward is I just scheduled everything on the front end here, let them have an aquarium day. Our guys hopped on a boat and drove around the bay and saw dolphins. Like, I didn't really join them, but they seemed to get excited about it. So, not a lot of dolphins in Illinois. Just fun stuff like that and reward. And today we had a little, I could tell by the attitude walking in the door, I have a team meeting every day. I kind of start the day off with the schedule, what's going to go on, and had a lot of, it was the earliest morning we got these guys up because at the 11 o'clock game I kind of wanted to transition them into that, and the mood wasn't there, so I have a freshman talent show pool that any freshman that we're not hazing them, right? They're showing their talents. They get a chance to come up, and Joey Okla did a Conor McGregor impersonation that was to die for the other day, and then today Elijah McCantos and Gabe Backus had a dance-off that was pretty entertaining, so we kind of sprinkled that in.
I bet they wouldn't beat Georgie.
That'd be a tough one. That
is one of the classic memories of Georgie. If I said to somebody, tell me your best Georgie memory, there's a lot of different. I mean, you could go with he and Kofi in the post-game interview just basically saying their apartment number, or you could go with the dance-off
that he won in Maui, right?
He won that in Maui.
And then on a broadcast, they showed him teaching Molly McGrath how to dance.
That's right.
And that was on the Illinois-Michigan State game. Io hits those shots late, and they storm the floor.
Oh, that's right.
That was Io's freshman year.
Man, those were fun. We got to get back
This
to
won't end well for Illinois. That was the Dan Dockich line.
That was the...
This won't end well for Illinois.
Boom.
That was that night.
That's awesome. That's a good memory. We need to get back to those. I'm ready for that. I'm ready to have some fun with Illinois basketball. Like, I feel like, and we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk some more about Illinois basketball. I got a couple from Brad Underwood. I feel like, okay, this season is 12 games old, and I feel like we have diagnosed this team more than any team I've ever talked about. We've talked about Matthew Meyer, and what's wrong with Matthew Meyer is his back hurt. Now he doesn't eat before games. Does he have this? And I'm not making light of that. I'm just saying, like, we're talking about all that. Terrence Shannon gets popped in the head, bleeding, and now hasn't looked the same since. We've got Sky Clark. Like, I think everybody it's safe to say, thought he would be better than what he's shown so far. Now, he's still pretty stinking good, let's be honest. But we kind of expected more because of the stars and all that. That's exactly what it is.
Coleman Hawkins.
Coleman, thank you. Coleman
There was
Hawkins.
a point where Sam Vecini of The Athletic said he's my favorite draft prospect for the upcoming year.
That was after that Syracuse game, right?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? Because that was against a zone. And then they played against a zone against Missouri, and Coleman Hawkins wasn't at the free throw line one freaking time. Was he?
No.
So what
I
is
wonder.
that? Who's that on? Is that a coach overthinking things going, well, when we played Syracuse's zone, here's what we did. They're ready for that.
I know it was a 1-3-1, so maybe a little bit different
that's
structurally.
True. That's true.
You put the three in that middle area.
You put the lime in the coconut. Sorry, you said that, and I was like, man, I
thought the same thing. I was like, if Mizzou plays a good chunk of zone, which they had done in the previous game against UCF, Illinois sliced that up against Syracuse.
Yeah. I mean, Coleman's got the height to go into the middle. And, the idea with a zone, like against a zone press, you hit the middle and go, right?
Yep.
Against a zone half court, get the ball to the middle, and everybody has to,
gravitate
suck into you, and then you kick it out to a shooter or a cutter down the baseline. Yeah, I don't.
Illinois in general didn't get in the lane at all.
No.
Didn't provide any
Didn't even
kind
try.
of collapsing nature of that Missouri defense. They could stick on the perimeter.
Yep.
Illinois would just pass it around or not even pass it.
Yep. It was weird. So so back to my point. I feel like we have diagnosed this team so hard.
I think you're right.
And part of it, I think, is this. A lot of times in the non-conference, you've got 6 or 7 Bethune-Cookmans to where you're just winning big and everything's fine and dandy, and here we go.
It seemed like the old Thad Matta non-conference. Like Ohio State would play out of the state of Ohio maybe once until January.
Exactly. Minnesota used to do it. It'd be 12-1 going in it, and then they'd finish 8th in the Big Ten. No, you're right. And so this team, and you even said it yesterday that Brad had mentioned there was a little bit of fatigue from big games. Like that they were just kind of like, man, we've played a lot of big games so far. And they have. And anybody that would ever question Illinois' schedule is ridiculous. I mean, who they've played and who they've gone up against this season, especially with a new team, essentially, with a lot of new pieces on this team. So credit to Illinois for doing that and for coming out, for the most part, at 8-4. Now, we're going to listen to something a little bit later in the show. Jeff Goodman and Robbie Hummel from Field of 68, is that what it is? That's where Trevor, the trader.
Our guy Trevor might have even produced that podcast.
Oh, he's such a traitor.
They asked the question, who's the most disappointing team of the college basketball season so far? And one of them.
Do you still like Trevor?
No.
It's our guy. I like him. Yeah.
But really?
No.
What's this one?
Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah!
I don't care.
Hey, Trevor produced that clip.
Who cares? Who cares? I don't care.
Sometimes he listens.
What the hell?
Yeah, so we'll play that because I kind of disagree.
About liking him?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I've moved on from Trevor. I kind of disagree with the idea that Illinois has been like the most disappointing team in the country.
I agree with you.
I mean, my Lord, you have wins over Texas. You have
And
wins
UCLA.
in UCLA. You took Virginia to the whatever. Now I understand that you've started the conference play 0-2. Well, you've lost at Maryland a lot, so that one's not exactly scaring the hell out of me. But
I think
the Penn State game does.
Yeah. Here of late, maybe of late, the most alarming, or I could say if you were polling who's the most dumbfounding team,
that's
most
fair.
confusing team, the biggest enigma out there, I think Illinois would fit in that category. But there are other disappointments to a greater extent, in my opinion. We'll play that clip for better context, but
yeah,
I mean the team that I just said it right there. The team that Missouri beat last night, Kentucky. I know we had a text on that.
Hammered them
earlier in the show. Does it make you feel better about what you saw at bragging rights? No, not at all. But usually when you lose to a team, then you want that team to finish out the year pretty well to make that not a terrible loss.
Well, yeah.
Missouri's playing really well.
They are. They
can
really,
shoot it.
really are.
A lot of effort. Dennis Gates has done a really good job. And
where did he come from?
Cleveland State.
Okay. Yeah,
and
he's
then
done
brought
well.
some of his players with him.
Okay. The Spiders. Is that where Mike?
That was Richmond.
Oh, that was Richmond. Was Mike Thomas, did he go to Cleveland State?
Think so. That sounds right.
Surely he wouldn't have made a good hire with Dennis Gates.
No.
To this day, Tyra Perry, that's going to be the answer to a trivia question. Who was the only coach that Mike Thomas actually got right at Illinois? Ding, ding, ding. Mr. Tay, Tyra Perry, softball coach. You are correct. Here's your 6-pack of Bud Light. All right, quick break. Come back, talk Illinois basketball. It's The Drive.
Get back to the things you need and love to do with physical therapy at Mettler Center. Two of the biggest barriers to starting therapy are getting a referral from your doctor and insurance coverage. But good news, Illinois is a direct access state, so you can start therapy without a doctor's referral. In addition, at Mettler, we accept all major insurances: Health Alliance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, HealthLink, Medicare, and most recently, Aetna and Cigna. We invite you to schedule a complimentary 30-minute consultation today. Visit us at MettlerCenter.com.
Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale is going on now. Save on all the cool Christmas decor you really wanted. Ornaments and Christmas accents are up to 60% off. Up to 60% off Christmas trees, wreaths, and garlands. Save 50 to 60% on Christmas cards, candles, ribbon, and Christmas florals. Hurry in for the best selection and the greatest savings. Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale. Going on now. Springfield and Duncan, Champaign.
Carl works every day to improve the health of community members across the region, and it would not be possible without team members like Dwayne Linton, a nationally certified nurse in the emergency department at Carl Foundation Hospital.
I work with a team of people who really care about what they do and are very flexible and adaptive in rapidly changing critical situations, and I would trust any of them at any time.
If you're looking for an opportunity to serve your community like Dwayne in a supportive environment, visit carl.org/careers.
I've got to clean out this garage. Let's see. What's the cheapest and easiest dumpster service in our area?
Here's what I found. The doggy bag.
Think she's broken. I'm not looking for takeout. Siri, try again.
The doggy bag from Bulldog Disposal in Mahomet.
Doggy bag? What's that?
If you got junk that needs to go, but you don't want the hassle of having an enormous dumpster delivered, grab a doggy bag, keep it as long as you need. They'll come take it away. For more information, just visit bulldoggybag.com.
That's bulldoggybag.com.
Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale is going on now. Save on all the cool Christmas decor you really wanted. Ornaments and Christmas accents are up to 60% off. Up to 60% off Christmas trees, wreaths, and garlands. Save 50 to 60% on Christmas cards, candles, ribbon, and Christmas florals. Hurry in for the best selection and the greatest savings. Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale. Going on now. Springfield and Duncan, Champaign.
When you're buying a battery, it's important to look beyond just the price and make sure you're buying a quality battery. So when you're buying one from the big box store, make sure you ask the question, what's the date on this battery? Is it dependable? Sometimes the big box stores have batteries that have been sitting on the shelf for years. Or you can just come to Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable, and buy your battery from the people who only do batteries. Interstate Batteries at 2504 North Madison, Champaign, way out there, but totally worth the drive. How much is dependable worth to you? Interstate Batteries open 6 days a week.
If you're looking for a new car, go to Sarah Champaign, because at Sarah Subaru, they have over 100 new Subarus available right now, all with symmetrical all-wheel drive. The Subaru Share the Love event is on too. With every new Subaru purchased or leased through January 3rd, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. Sarah Subaru will also donate an additional $50 to the Champaign County Humane Society right here in our community. Visit Sarah Subaru right off Route 45 in Savoy.
Ring in the new year at Pia's with me, Diane Ducey, as your DJ, with prizes, watching the ball drop in New York City with a countdown, party favors, and champagne. They're known for their drink specials at Pia's, plus the great food and party atmosphere. It'll be awesome saying bye-bye to 2022 and hello to 2023 with your friends at Pia's Sports Bar and Grill. No cover, no need to get fancy, just have fun. Pia's, 1609 West Springfield Avenue for New Year's Eve.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon, Tay, and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
You know, I told you I'm a big Ole Miss fan.
You did?
Well, not really. I'm not really a fan. I'm sorry. I went to a game down there. I don't remember seeing Luke Altmaier throwing the football around because I don't think he would have been in school yet. But we will be seeing Luke Altmaier throw the football around at the University of Illinois. He's landed.
He's landed.
Are you okay with that?
Sure.
3 years of eligibility. That's actually, I like that part of it. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to now, going forward, just stop just saying, you know, hey, we got our quarterback now for the next 3 years, we're done. No, that's not going to be the case. They'll try to recruit over him. They'll try to get a better quarterback for sure, but it's nice to know you got a guy coming in that his freshman year had to come into the Sugar Bowl against LSU and was actually halfway decent in that game. I know I told you early on he threw a pass that was deflected at the line of scrimmage and picked off for a pick six, so that's not a great way to start. But then he came back and threw a beautiful 30-yard pass down the sideline for a touchdown against an LSU team that was really good. So this is a kid that obviously was highly recruited out of high school, settled on Ole Miss, and now he just keeps losing his job essentially to somebody a little bit better, according to Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. So now he's like, well, you know what, I'm out of here. And I would assume Illinois was a pretty solid destination in terms of knowing what Brett Bielema's doing, knowing that you're always going to have a good offensive line. I think as a quarterback, that would be something that I'd want to know. Now, the other thing I'd want to know is who am I throwing it to? Mm-hmm. That could be a little bit of an issue. But if Isaiah Williams stays next year, that helps. And maybe a freshman or two come in. Maybe Sean Miller next year is healthy. So I mean, hopefully, I think George McDonald did a pretty good job with that room. But obviously you don't have a ton of weapons to throw to. You got good guys, I think, to hand off to. But yeah, I mean, look, you could do worse, I think. I think Luke Altmaier is like the 7th-rated transfer quarterback. Now we have that. We always got to jump into rating things. So, hey, I'm just happy we've got a kid that has at least played Power 5 football. He's played against SEC teams. We got somebody that's coming in because, man, when you, like we've asked Jay 100 times, think about this season and how well it went for Illinois football, and think about how it wouldn't have gone that well without Tommy DeVito. I mean,
absolutely.
There's praise all around this team. Don't get me wrong. Keith Randolph, Johnny Newton, anybody in the secondary, your running back was a Heisman candidate for a while. I mean, there's praise everywhere, but Tommy DeVito just absolutely made that thing click on offense with his quick reads, quick reaction, quick throws. I mean, that was huge for Illinois. And dare I say that Illinois finally had a competent enough quarterback to where we think it's like, he's the best thing ever. I mean, Tommy DeVito had a hell of a year, obviously. But it's just that's a lot of what a lot of teams see every year. I mean, that's what they have. We just haven't had that in a long time.
Right, and you look around the Big Ten West, a lot of those teams have similar qualities. Iowa and Wisconsin, as well as Illinois now, I would believe that year in and year out, most times they're going to have a good offensive line. They're probably going to play pretty good defense. Who has the quarterback and the run game, too?
Yes.
Now, Iowa hasn't been as good as they've been traditionally here of late, but sometimes it feels like, and that is the most important position in football, and I mean, I maybe didn't want to say that to Keith Randolph, so I'll wait now towards the end of the show to say it.
There you go.
I don't know that he would necessarily disagree. They can elevate one team over another, and what Illinois had just an awesome defense, one of the best out there, but for Tommy to be able to be by QBR metrics, by you look at his completion percentage, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the Big Ten, at the very least, some would say maybe even a little bit higher than that. I think that was obviously a big deal for Illinois to complement Chase Brown and be able to do some things in the passing game. I did wonder about how much the weapons would maybe hold you back of getting a guy you ultimately wanted. And this is not getting Devin Leary. This is not getting even Hudson Card, who'd been a little bit more proven at this level. But like you mentioned, a former 4-star recruit, a guy you get 3 years out of, a guy that 24/7. I know the updated is he's number 9.
Okay.
As far as a transfer portal as a quarterback. So a top 10 guy out there, someone that you can bring in and have multiple seasons with. He's got the talent, and then it sounds like he's also pretty mobile.
Yeah.
Sounds like a guy that can make plays with his feet. We saw I love the way that DeVito was able to be mobile within the pocket to avoid some pressure and be able to buy a little bit more time. So we'll have to figure out, because there's a lot there that he still needs to show. Like DeVito's 2019 at Syracuse, that was pretty much kind of rechanneling some of that here, where this guy hasn't done it at this level in terms of a whole lot of sample size.
Well, he better be ready, because he's the guy.
He's the guy.
Because there's nobody else.
He's the guy.
I know you've got Cal Swanson that's coming in this year. Well, you're not going to turn the reins over to him.
Donovan Leary,
you're not going to turn the reins over to him. That Michow kid, or whatever you say it, that played baseball, you're not turning the reins over to him. I mean, this is pretty much Brett Bielema and Barry Lunny saying, if you come here, you are our day one starter, no questions asked.
Yep.
And there's nobody even pushing you. Now, that doesn't mean next year there won't be somebody pushing him, unless he has the kind of season that we're excited for. Can you just for a second, because Illinois football is on a pretty good pace right now, right? I mean, chance to win 9 games. That's what we beg for, right? Can you just for a second imagine Luke Altmaier having a similar season to Tommy DeVito next year? Think about that. Knowing then you've got him for 2 more years, or at least 1. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good thought to have. It's an interesting conversation. I wonder if the 3 years obviously had to be a big value.
Yes.
Of having someone that could come in and progress and have the sustainability at the position, which has been a big issue here.
Right.
Not only in terms of the talent, but then have a guy for a few years. I wonder when you contrast it to, like, Brennan Armstrong out there hasn't found a landing spot to my knowledge quite yet. A guy that tore it up 2 years ago. This year left a lot to be desired. Had more interceptions, not nearly as much passing success. You could have had him for like a 1 year type of deal. And while he's not as maybe pro style, like he likes to run, he likes to. I mean, Bronco Mendenhall ran some really unique, spread out type of offenses. I just wonder, like, if Brett Bielema thought, okay, I'm going to lose a lot defensively. We're going to lose Chase. I'm not going to pour it all into 1 year next year and then have to go look for another quarterback. The fact that you can have someone for 3 years.
That's a great point.
And to be able to have the progression there, that might have been a value over someone that you could have had maybe as a 1 year rental once again.
Well said. First of all, I'd be shocked if Luke Altmaier had the completion percentage even close to what Tommy DeVito had. I don't think that he's going to have a Tommy DeVito year his first year here. I don't see that. I could see him doing that before he's gone. But like in my mind, I just wanted to be happy for a second and think, can you imagine if he came out? I think he's good enough, though, from watching tape and stuff. I feel like he's good enough that you can win games with him. It's just, I don't know that he would have as good of a year as Tommy DeVito had. Now, if he does, then man, you are in really good shape for the next couple of years. While you really, nothing against Larry, nothing against Swanson. Those two, one of those guys may end up being one heck of a college quarterback. But Barry Lunny's really now sinking his teeth into recruits.
Right.
In terms of really laying a foundation for getting a young quarterback to come in that may not play as a freshman, but could be a guy that starts for 3 or 4 years, like a Shieldhouse or someone like that. Lunny is finally now, just because of the way when he was hired and when he started, like in March or April, he didn't really get a chance to go out and identify that much in terms of recruiting. So this next class is really when Barry Lunny Jr. is going to have his mark on, this is the quarterback that I want. Well, now you've got that stopgap for at least 2 or 3 years, you hope, and hopefully Luke Altmaier. Let's get him on.
Let's do it.
We got 10 minutes.
Oh, today you meant.
Today.
Gotcha.
Can you DM him?
Sure.
See if he'll call. I'll stay on later if Luke Altmaier wants to come on.
I got to get to State Farm Center, but
that's right.
We got
I'll
some time.
stay on.
We got some time.
We got to play this, don't we?
I will say real quick, though, in terms of the weapons, you would imagine it goes hand in hand, like having a quarterback, getting weapons, attracting a quarterback with your weapons.
Yes.
It'd be hard to go out and get a transfer wide receiver at this point, wouldn't it? When you looked prior to landing Altmaier, when you see who's going to be the quarterback at Illinois. Not to say that we're down the line here and that the options have really thinned out, but I think that now you have somebody that was one time a nice prospect and will be here for 3 years. Now you can go and say, like, we have our quarterback. Now we can go out and get some weapons around him, and you hope, obviously, that Isaiah Williams doesn't catch that train across the street and go over to West Lafayette like too many people have here recently.
That would stink. All right, Jeff Goodman, Robbie Hummel, field of 68. The question was, who's been the biggest disappointment of the year so far? I don't even know how Illinois even comes in this.
But I do think he has some really good points about what's been going on.
Okay, starts with Robbie.
Illinois, even though Brad knew that there's going to be some growing pains because you have these 2 transfers or 3 with Danger, and you have these 4 freshmen that you're going to play, their effort has been pathetic. Like, pathetic. And again, like, chemistry takes time to build, and they have a very new team from last year. Their defense has been even worse. I wonder if Brad Underwood will get away from switching. They are terrible at switching.
I know, but
that's the only thing they want to do.
With the way you're built, right? Like that should be your biggest advantage.
But they're like pointing and switching and doing it lazy. And I mean, Penn State just freaking ripped them apart. It was, that game was horrible. Missouri game was horrible.
And
they
the game against Texas, they shouldn't have won the game against Texas.
No, they didn't even play well, but they were tough and had a toughness to them and found a way. And then Shannon was amazing in overtime.
Yeah,
you know what's crazy about Terrence Shannon is when he was shooting it so well, it was still like, this guy shoots more air balls for a guy that's shooting 45% from 3 than I've ever seen. And I kept thinking this. Yeah, and now it's like he's kind of regressed to probably what his mean is, right? Like this is more of the average.
Yep. Well, it shows you, right? Like, we overreact so much to one early season game. And
there's not many guys that hit 8 threes in a game.
No. I mean,
there's not. And that is something that you overreact to for sure. But that's an impressive performance. There's not many guys that can raise their hand and say, yeah, I've hit 8 threes in a high major college basketball game, right? It's a pretty select group of people.
It was just you, right?
I'm in that group.
I love it.
But I don't know. I just think with the locker room stuff they've got, the Matt Meyer quotes were bizarre, but honest, which I do appreciate his honesty in a time where that's not the case.
Right. I don't know if I would.
Still, I mean, even Underwood's comments after the Penn State game to me are strange and could backfire on you in today's day and age, or they could work. For the first couple games, they don't look like they have. So
I just felt like they'd come out against Missouri and
right.
You know,
I mean, Missouri's not good enough to beat that team by 30.
No,
but Coleman Hawkins, I mean, we've talked about this. Yeah. There are games where you think he's a lottery pick, and there are games where you're like, I don't know if we can play him.
Right.
That can't be the highs and the lows of his game.
I said it to Brad. It's funny, and this is still a minor factor in all of this, but I remember saying it to Brad when I was there for practice in the preseason. Was like, all right, your point guard situation, like, I'm worried about it. And he was like, well, we're not really going to run things through our point guard. And I'm like, yeah, but like, Terrence Shannon isn't really that guy necessarily that can facilitate. You're going to need a facilitator. Jaden Epps, to me, is not that. He's a scorer.
No, he's a scorer, and he's a great scorer.
They don't really have a guy, Rob, that makes life easier for other guys.
Agreed.
And you need that on that team, especially right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's totally fair. And I mean, Sincere Harris is a really good defender. He plays hard, but he's not really facilitating. I think that they need his effort and energy. It's it's an interesting situation. That's going to be a fun one to watch how that plays out.
All right, that is Robbie Hummel and Jeff Goodman from Field of 68. Of course, our buddy Trevor Valise now is a producer for Field of 68 and does a lot of work for that website. Look, I told you while we were listening to this, Robbie Hummel, you could easily say, is piling on Illinois, but there's not a lot that he said that was wrong. Now, I still don't agree that Illinois is the most disappointing team. I would argue that with him all day.
Right.
There is a winner to that. This isn't the argument that doesn't have a winner. I would win that argument. But he does have a lot of good things to say. I mean, he made a lot of sense with Shannon and Coleman, et cetera.
Absolutely. I disagree with the choice of Illinois there. I think it's fair to bring them into conversation.
Yeah.
But Kentucky's been far more disappointing because Kentucky has played, I think, 5 high major games, and they're 1-4. In those high majors, they beat Michigan by like 4 points. Michigan, on that note, the Wolverines were a ranked team going into the year, and now they look like someone that is going to be squarely on the bubble.
Yeah. When we said that, 2 weeks ago, ESPN had a – remember I had that? I just happened to pull that up.
Yeah, they had a 0.9% chance of making the tournament, which I don't know where they got that from. I don't think that was actually –
analytics.
I don't agree with those analytics. I don't know how that makes sense. But in terms of what he was breaking down and the issues with Illinois and the effort that was terrible and the defense, which is interesting in a contrast of – and I think Brad yesterday – it seemed like he wanted to get rid of or just try to control the negative vibe around the team and not pile on in terms. I know you mentioned it there with Robbie, but there's been so much negativity around this team, which I know it's been warranted because they've played terrible, but it would have been kind of just overkill to go into yesterday's press conference and just continue to drill in like, this is what's wrong and this is what's wrong and this is what's wrong. So one of his notes was, we've been excellent in half-court defense. And then Hummel on there says, they are awful at switching. They are terrible at their defense right now. Now, their transition defense, which is tied to their offense, is killing them.
It is.
But I agree with Robbie a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've written about it. Some of their switching has been a problem, but right now, obviously, it's the offense and just kind of the vibe around the team, the effort, the pride, the leadership. And to relate it to tonight, what are we going to learn against Bethune-Cookman? They're horrible.
Correct.
Maybe not a whole lot, but there is kind of the different storylines of, is Coleman still in his own head tonight? Is Sky able to get it going a little bit, build some confidence? Is this team coming out and saying, let's just completely hammer Bethune-Cookman, get them down by 30 in the first half because we're pissed off?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you want to see that.
Amen.
Take it personal that Missouri just waxed you.
And then get some good mojo going for this team. When do they play again after this? Is it another week?
It's January 4th against Northwestern.
Okay.
On the road.
So the second is the Illinois football game. That's a Monday. So
Wednesday.
Be a Wednesday. Yep. Okay. I mean, this whole going a week and then a week and then a week and then a week. I mean, I don't like that. I know with finals and such. But it's like, you get into it and you're like, all right, here we go. And then it's like, we don't play again.
I think what Brad says, I get that. Where Brad says, like, Missouri, they were a little maybe emotionally worn down from so many big games.
I agree.
And when Matthew Meyer pushes back on hard practice, there should be no excuses now.
No.
You should be fresh as heck. You should be well practiced. Anything that you're going to address and be able to work on and what's wrong should be able to fix when you got this time off.
Yep.
Interesting to see what happens tonight.
I'm sitting here staring at my phone because I DM'd Luke Altmaier to see if he would join our show. And if he comes back in the next couple of minutes and says, yeah, then I'll stay on. I know you got to get there. And then my buddy Alan Leach is calling me right now. Alan, really? Are you not hearing me on the air right now? Alan!
He must be with Luke right now.
Now he's calling me again. I should put him on the air. You know what he's saying? Hey, are you going to the game and where are you at right now? You want to have a beer? It's exactly what he's going to ask me. Alan, if you just turn on the radio show, no, I'm not going to the game, and no, I can't meet you for a beer.
What's up, Alan? I know you're not listening right now.
You know Alan.
I do.
Good Oakwood, Illinois, man. All right, let's get out of here. If Luke Altmaier, for some crazy reason in the next minute and a half, sends me a message, I'll come back on the radio and talk to Luke Altmaier, and we'll hear all about it. All right, Pipes, I won't see you till after the Illinois bowl game.
Have a happy New Year. Have a great trip to Florida.
Does Illinois win the game, bowl game? They're going to win. They're going to beat Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, they'll win. Let's say that.
So, I agree.
I want to wish good upon this team and your trip and everything.
Let's go. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
See you next year.
We're out. It is, yeah, right. It's a drive.
Sure, we offer push-button mortgage applications, but when it comes to getting the money for the house of your dreams, we offer something far more advanced, and we call her Brenda. A real person who knows you better than any app and works hard to make things simple, cutting through red tape, meeting you outside the office, and in between life's busy moments. For a great rate and a great deal, call Brenda at Iroquois Federal Champaign and let her help you get home. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 472172.
Now is a perfect